How's it going, everyone? I'm Hunter from Over Yonder, and today I'm going to be putting a leather wrap on the lever of my Uberti Henry 1860. And to be transparent with you, it took a couple of tries to figure out the pattern stitching, but we're gonna check that out in just a second. So this is a leather wrap kit from D4 Guns. It came with 2 sets of leather, 2 sets of thread, and 2 sewing needles, and a set of instructions on the back. So for step 1, it says tie the 2 provided leather sewing needles onto each end of a single sinew thread. Use a simple overhand knot to secure the thread to the needles. So I'm just going to make 1 knot through the eye of this needle, and then I'm going to do it 1 more time. And then I'm going to take the second needle and do the same thing for the opposite end of the thread. So for step 2, it says place the leather wrap inside of the lever. Starting at the front of the gun, begin stringing the sinew thread through the holes of the leather wrap. Do this the same way you would start lacing a shoe. So from those instructions, they didn't exactly say how the stitching pattern should go, and it's a little tricky to get the hang of. I actually had to restart about 4 times before I got the proper pattern. I'm going to show you right here real quick. So the stitching pattern goes like this in the beginning. Outside to inside for one needle. Do the same with the other needle for the opposite side. So as you can see here, I'm going from outside with the needle to the inside. And you want to make sure that this loop that's been created is wrapping around the top like this. In the beginning, it's tricky to keep the leather still because nothing's really securing it to the lever. So it's easiest if you always kind of have a hand pinching it at the end of the lever. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the opposite needle and send it through the inside to outside of the opposite hole, the ones that we just put the thread through. And you'll do that for both needles. And then what you'll want to do is just tighten that down as much as you can. I wouldn't be worried about these threads breaking, they're surprisingly strong. So you're going to take the left needle and go through the outside of the right hole. And I actually make a little mistake here. I have the needle go above the loop. You want to make sure that the needle exits below the loop. So I kind of feed it back in like this. And once I've done that, I feed it through the left hole directly opposite of it, from inside to outside. So I'm going to do pretty much the exact same thing with the right needle. I'm sending it from outside to inside of the left hole, making sure that that needle is going to stay below the loop, tightening it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to send it through the right hole from inside to outside. And you want to make sure that you're tightening as much as you can as you go along so that there's not any kind of gaps. And so you'll just repeat this stitching pattern for the rest of the holes until you get to the very bottom. So now we're at the final 2 holes, and the last thing that we need to do is send the left needle through the right hole outside to inside, and then take the right needle go through the left hole, outside to inside. So both of the threads should be feeding from the inside. And now the next thing to do is to just take those two needles and make 2 knots out of them. So I'm just feeding one through the other, tightening that down, and then doing that one more time. And now I'm going to cut the threads and leave about a 1/4 inch of thread left on the lever. And now all we have to do is just take one of these needles and push those little threads back up and under the leather wrap. And that just about does it. It doesn't look like there's any gaps in the wrap, and the stitching is nice and tight. So the whole point of this is when I'm competing in cowboy action, I'm not cracking my knuckles and fingers against the metal lever when I'm cycling rounds as fast as I can. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.